So I think you managed to listen into a bit of last whatever it was episode.
Yeah.
So right, cool. So as I was about to say, you were all hired by a guy called Erward Callistro, who is basically like the bastard son of a baron who the Duke of the city where you are at the time had basically said that if he was to reinvigorate the old ancestral lands of the baron and get the farmland working again, get food coming in, etc., he would reinstate the baron's title, or he would effectively give the bastard child the title of the baron. So several expeditions had been sent to this small village. So basically, if you look on the screen at the moment, it's where the little circle should be appearing. You might have to zoom out, but the little village towards the north on the far right hand of the map is where you were heading towards. And the Baron had already sent several of his men there, and you were getting letters back from those. I think they're in the player's handout section of some of the letters that were coming back from the Baron's men saying that they'd reached there. Everything seemed to be okay. They were starting repairs. There'd been one sort of accident where one of the apprentices went missing, possibly strayed outside the wards or something similar. Is Matty disconnected, or has he just turned his camera off?
Maybe he's doing stuff we don't want to know about.
Yeah, possibly.
It's Matt, so
maybe he's getting into costume.
Or lack of costume.
So you spent the first day traveling, and you were traveling through the landscape, and there was this situation where there is just undead kicking around, but in the day they're fairly benign. You spotted some villagers burning some undead that they'd rounded up during the day before they started farming the fields. The end of the first day, you stayed at an inn called the Dancing Wolf, and that was relatively uneventful. The next day you spent camping because there was a gap between the inns. So the second day was roughly around about here on the road. And you met up with a messenger called Broderick, who was already camped. So the messengers travel between the towns. They're generally respected. People leave them alone because they obviously carry mail between all of the towns, and they work for, they're neutral, so they work for either side. The third day, you arrived where the red marker is at the moment, at a roadside inn called the Old Hunter, that was operated by an innkeeper called Tobias and his wife Gertrude. Now they've been known to the Baron for some time now. It was a relatively uneventful night until just as the sun was rising, effectively, when ghouls attacked through the caverns underneath the inn. Right.
All right, pretty good bit.
So, and you fought off the ghouls. Rescued the innkeeper's wife, and that was roughly where we finished it, I think. So you're currently having breakfast in the inn. The innkeeper's obviously ecstatic that you guys went into the catacombs and rescued his wife. He sort of mentioned that if you're ever traveling through in future, he'll obviously always provide you with room and board for free.
I mean, like, how ecstatic is he right now, though? I mean, does these ecstasy, is it going to show itself in the form of gold coins?
Probably not, because you were actually hired by the Baron at the time. The Baron was his friend anyway. But he's certainly happy to extend his gratitude to you anytime you're passing through on the road. Are you in it? Oh, well. I was just gonna say, are you drinking out of like a little princess glove?
Yeah.
Right.
Drinking beer out of it.
So obviously Ed's character's not here yet. You'll run into Ed's character at some point during the game.
Spoilers.
Hopefully. It's going to have a pretty shitty time. Just like, where's the character?
So
yeah. Words, deeds, actions.
So what do you want to do? You ready to set out for the next day, or is there anything else you want to do at the end?
I think it's just us at the inn now. Or
yes.
Have we managed to heal up from last night's fighting goblins?
Ghouls.
Ghouls.
Ghouls. So bear in mind you haven't managed to get a full night's rest. So you haven't got a long rest. You've got a short rest, but not a long rest because you actually went into the caverns for some time. So you broke up the 8-hour long rest.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need? Is any spellcasters or anyone hurt enough that we need to try and convince them that we need to stay another night?
I don't know if we can. Aren't we on the Baron's carts anyway? So we should be able to rest on there if we're not doing anything during the day, really.
We were walking. It was only.
Yeah, you can't really get a long rest traveling on
Okay.
the cart.
Just sleepwalk. It'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be right. What's the worst that can happen?
I mean, obviously, it depends. I mean, you can discuss amongst yourselves how many spell slots you've got left. So, obviously, from a point of view of healing, Quail's the main healer, I guess.
Yep.
So, how wounded are people at the moment?
I didn't take anything.
I'm fine as well.
Not
I
seen
took
the
about
slightest
16
on
damage, so I'm okay.
So, I mean, if you think you've got enough slots to handle anything that might come up during the day, you're probably okay.
All my spells get reset, though, right?
No, because it's only the ones that set after a short rest. Because you didn't get the full 8-hour long rest, is what I'm saying.
Fuck's sake.
Because the attack was overnight.
It's just, I've reset them all.
You didn't get your beauty sleep.
Right, okay.
But yeah, I'll roll to see how much I regain from a short rest.
Right.
So you can spend, I think is it up to half your dice on a short rest?
Just there we go. That'll do.
Yeah.
A D20
The lowest you could possibly roll.
Better than nothing.
Yeah. I mean, just expect shit and you're never surprised.
Right, so obviously the Baron's keen to get moving because he's obviously concerned about the welfare of his people. He's not heard from them in some time. He wants to try and get to the village as soon as possible. I mean, he's not overly concerned because he trusts the guy Aegon that he's got running the area really well, but he would still like to, now he's actually out on the road, he'd much rather get either to one of the towns or at least to the safety of the inn that they've prepared as soon as possible, rather than being out on the road where it obviously is more risky.
Just come in my tiny hut. It's so safe.
Well, he's got a nice warded coach, so he's quite happy in that. But obviously, it doesn't necessarily stop the whole place being attacked on the road.
It's bandits and stuff still, as we
Are
established
you
last
guys
week.
happy to head out then?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Right. So you start to head out. Are you doing the same sort of thing as usual with Matty, heading a little bit further ahead rather than painting like he's doing at the moment?
No, I'm gonna have a nap in one of the carts.
So you have a rest rather than summon your horse?
I've already got my horse. It doesn't go away.
Whatever.
No, it doesn't say it does. It does when it dies.
So you're just going to tie the horse to the one of the carts?
Yeah, and then I'll just have a kip in the cart.
Cool.
I'm pretty tired. I was kept up most of the night.
I bet you were.
It was in your tiny hut. You should know.
No, we refused to stay in the tiny hut, if you remember.
Sextons.
Right. So who's on the lead cart then? If Matty's having a rest, or if Dragon's having a rest?
I don't think any of us are on any carts because we're all walking, weren't we?
I mean, you can sit.
I'm tiny, so I'm happy to stand on the lead cart.
Yeah, I mean, you can take rests on the cart. I wouldn't necessarily say you're on the carts the whole time, because obviously there's guards and stuff with them as well.
So we can take a short rest, which is just 15 minutes, taking a breath, etc., but not a proper
Short rest
rest,
an hour,
obviously.
but yeah, you can take a short rest if you wanted to on the carts.
Okay.
Who's so if you are walking, then is someone walking in front of the? Because bear in mind, you've been hired to protect this thing.
Yeah, I
So-
suppose Avander's kind of jogging lightly alongside the front cart, and then sort of, if it gets a couple of hours, taking a sit on the side of the cart, and then carrying on. And
I'll be standing on the front cart since I'm small anyway. I can sort of just keep an eye out from there, really.
Can I just ask a question?
Yep.
It says for one of my racial traits that I can go into a trance. It says I don't need sleep, but I just meditate semi-consciously for 4 hours a day. And it
Yeah,
gets
actually,
the same
yeah,
benefits.
Yeah, sorry, because you're an elf, you will actually have all your spells because
Ah,
elves only need, I think it's actually in an hour, they need to get a full rest.
right. It's just as I need to meditate for 4 hours. So
Yeah, well, it's still half the time anyway, so yeah, you're fine. So you know at the end of the 4th day you're going to be camping again because there's a 2-day journey between the inn and the village that you'll be breaking off from to head up towards the ruined village. So you probably a couple of hours after you've broken for lunch and you're back on the travel. Avenda, make a perception test, please. Yeah, that's pretty good. You know something strange at the side of the road. You kind of the road's like an incline almost. So part of the road's higher up with foresting on one side, and the other part kind of heads down into like brush and then down into fields. And you notice what looks like a cart about halfway down the hill, and you can see movement around the car, and you think you can just hear the sound of someone in the distance.
Any particular type of sound? Is it any? Can I distinguish that yet?
It's quite far away, so you reckon it's someone shouting for you to even be able to hear it at all.
Okay. So with my quarterstaff, I sort of nudge Brun and sort of point over. There's something over there. Can you hear it as well?
I'll attempt to.
Yep.
Will that be perception?
Yeah, make a perception roll.
Well,
you can see the cart, but you can't hear anything.
I can't hear anything, but there's a car over there. It seems to have come off the road.
And at that point, I'd start alerting the people driving the first cart, some of the actual main guards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so the sort of the caravan trail pulls to a halt, and the guards sort of like take on defensive positions directly with the carts. Kind of and sort of the Baron looks out basically from his carriage. He's like, "What's the hold up?"
Avenda?
And sort of shout back, "Cart blocking the road. It looks
It's not
like they
blocking
want
the
our
road.
attention."
It's almost down. It's down the embankment.
Ah, okay. There's a cart trying to get our attention. Do we proceed?
Check it out. See what it is.
So I'll jump off the cart I'm on then.
Yeah. Is Dragon sleeping?
I think Matt's sleeping. I don't know.
Yeah, just sort of signal to everyone with a big wave. Sort of, come on.
I will jump off the carts and come with you.
Draw my longsword in preparation, just in case.
Right. So I don't even need initiative at the moment. So you guys basically start heading down this embankment. So it's fairly easy, but make a. I'm trying to think what a good roll would be. I think anything like acrobatics, athletics, or dex, basically
Which
kind
one?
of.
Just pick one.
Yeah, pick whatever's most beneficial for you. Basically, the embankment's quite steep, so basically it's a roll for you to try and just maintain your footing as you climb down this embankment.
I'm going to pick religion because I'm going to pray to the gods.
So I think Brunhilde sort of like starts to, you don't necessarily fall over, but you start to have to take longer.
Okay.
So you kind of start to head towards the back of the group, basically, as the other three with slightly sturdier footing get down this embankment towards this car. As you get closer, make perception rolls, please.
I'm pretty sure I'm still asleep on the cart.
Why did you roll persuasion, actually?
Just in case.
Because it's Matt.
He wants to persuade the hill. But it's, not that steep.
Yeah, so Dragon's still up, actually asleep on the cart, effectively. Like I mean, you before you go, basically, you kind of hear a couple of guards sort of like pointing at him, going, "Should we wake him up?" But they decide to leave him alone until they see if there's actually any threat or not. I think again, Avender, I think you spot this stuff first. So you notice there's the shape of probably 3 or 4 wolves scattered around the clearing of the cart. You also notice that the colours of the cart match the colours of the Baron's men, and it looks very similar to one of the carts that you guys are actually travelling on.
Okay.
And you can hear voices now of someone shouting, "Get back! Get back!" And occasionally the wolves jump in and then jump back.
At the people around the cart.
Towards basically the carts. If you imagine, you can only see the back of the cart. There's someone obviously in front of the cart trying to fend off the wolves, and you can see the wolves darting in from your far side.
Okay. I'm going to put my arm out to sort of almost halt quail slightly, and then sort of bellow out, sort of wolves, wolves, like loud enough so that our main caravan can hear.
Yeah. So at that, obviously the guards up on the road sort of take a slightly more defensive posture and start looking around the surrounding forest just to see if there's any others. One of them sort of nudges you, Dragon, sort of like says that there's wolves. Your friends are down there.
Okay, I'll sort of roll over and grab my mace and
So you're a good couple of rounds behind them. So I mean, it's up to you whether you go down with them or whether you want to stay up here and just keep an eye out up here.
I'll make my way over towards the Baron and stand near him.
Right, cool. Right, so we will just go order. We're not going to use initiative because we won't need it for this one, but we'll just go order right to left. So Avender, since you were kind of ahead and spotting stuff, what do you want to do?
I suppose roughly how far away or in front of us is the cart, the back end of the cart, Dave?
Probably about 60 feet.
60 feet. Okay. I'm going to sort of take a fighting stance and start almost skirting my way to see if I can see round the cart and getting slightly closer, but not going too far forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I can see it first.
Do you want to try and actually use stealth, or are you just moving cautiously?
Just moving cautiously. I don't mind about being seen.
Right. So what you see, one of the wolves on the edge sort of catches your scent in the wind, and it sort of turns and growls. It's not moved any, it's moved away from where it is at the moment, but it seems to have realised you're there.
Okay. Can I throw a dart at it, or is that kind of
What's
me
the range of your
movement?
darts?
It's 60 is 20/60.
So effectively, you should be able to move. Well, your movement's like 45 as a monk, isn't it?
45, yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be able to. If you do a full move, then you'll be able to get a dart in short range. So yes.
Okay, I'll throw one dart at it.
You hit and you do a fair bit of damage. So basically, the one that's starting to growl at you, you kind of step forward, throw a dart, basically take it in the face, and it sort of whelps and jumps back a little bit. Quail.
I will shoot a sacred flame.
So is it got 60-foot range? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, look at that! That is some serious damage.
94.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is
I think
fire.
it's what does it say? I don't know. It's one. Hold on.
Is the one where
Attack
have to roll
save.
resistance?
Dex 14, so I'm assuming they have to take a dex save.
Let me have a quick look.
The target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d8 radiant damage. The target gains no benefit from cover from the saving throw. So, I mean, they must, yeah. So
Yeah, so
it's
basically they either have to succeed on the dex or they take the damage. So they won't take the 4, but they'll roll to see if they succeed or not, and if they don't, they will. So GM roll 20. Yeah, it fails. So it's actually 2d8, not d8, because it's
He rolled a
reached
1
fifth
and a
level.
3.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's just a really
Yeah, so
shit
it's
roll.
4 then. Yeah, you basically launch a sort of like a little bolt of sacred flame that erupts onto the wolf, and
A tiny bolt.
you can only really see the wolf that Greg's already attacked. So it kind of yelps, and it does actually run off with this, given wolves are scared of flame. So it sort of yelps and runs off back into the brush. Hilda.
So how far are they like
60
sort of
feet.
clumped? Right, okay, and they clumped around the thing or spread out?
You can't see the others at the moment. You only know about them because
You can hear
Avinda
them.
saw. Well, yeah, they can hear growling now, but he saw that there was several sort of like darty forms.
Okay, so
but
I'll
they're on the back side of the wagon.
move 25 feet towards them because that's my maximum movement speed.
Yeah.
And the one I can see, I will fire a blast at.
You can't see any anymore. The one that you could see is when
okay.
it's kind of fled away.
In that case, I'll just move 25 feet forward. As I can't see anything else, I'll just, wait until I see any more, basically. I'm not going to hold my action or anything. I'll wait until the next round.
Yep.
Okay.
So, Avinda?
I'm going to carry on sort of moving out and around and keep going in closer. Am I the other side of the cart yet?
Yeah, your movement, you'll be at the other side of the cart.
Okay. What do I see, Dave?
You see one dead guard, another dead figure lying near the guard. The other guard seems to be trying to stand protectively over, so maybe he's not dead, maybe he is, you don't know. But the guard is badly injured. One side of his arm's all raked and like bloody claw marks.
Okay.
And he's holding out a sword, like a short sword in front of him, and he's trying to sort of stab at it to push the wolves back.
Okay. Can I rush them as close as I can get? I'm not sure if I'll get into combat with them this round or not.
You probably will actually, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then if it's all right with you, I'm gonna, because I'm moving quite quick, I'll use my quarterstaff one-handed,
Yep.
and I'll take 2 hits at single one.
Yeah, so you literally cave in the skull of the first one that you reach.
Okay. And then I'll just boot the one to the side of me.
Yeah, so you kick it away, and it literally, seeing the other one flee, and the fact that you just caved in the skull of its one of its packmates, it flees the scene. And you can kind of see the guard just drops his sword and then collapses unconsciousness
Okay.
from exhaustion or from blood loss, etc.
And I'll almost sort of take a defensive stance sort of around them, not necessarily doing anything, but just thematically taking kind of
Strike pose.
Yeah.
Yep. So I guess you all reach there. Matt, the Baron sends you down to see what's happening.
Right, sir. And then I'll run off down the hill.
So at the bottom, what you find basically is there's one of the Baron's carts. It seems to have kind of fallen down the embankment. Whether it's been attacked or not, you don't know. A load of you can see all on the way down. You noticed that a lot of the cargo had sort of strewn out while it was rolling down the embankment.
Mm-hmm.
There's one guard who's dead. It looks like he's being crushed by the actual cart. There's another guard who's badly injured, and he's unconscious at the moment. Most of his left-hand side is badly sort of covered with like claw marks, bite marks from the wolves. And there is another person lying there. You don't know whether he's dead or unconscious.
Okay.
I'll run up to the one that's the most severely injured and use lay on hands.
Yep.
Just maybe 5 points to get him conscious.
Yep. So you basically you bring him round. using the spell, and he's still quite badly wounded. But you bring him around to consciousness, and he's sort of looking up basically, and it's almost as if he can't remember what's happened now. He's starting to come out of this sort of consciousness, effectively, sort of saying, "What happened? Who are you?"
I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to look at Brunhilde to sort of make introductions.
Hi there. We're working for Callistra, the Baron's bastard, I believe. We were journeying to his further holdings, and we came across yourselves being attacked.
And so he
What
sort of
happened?
looks up. The Baron's here.
No, the Baron's son.
No, the Baron's here.
The Baron's son.
Bastard son.
Yeah, so the Baron's been dead, hasn't he? So, you know the Baron's
Yeah.
dead, so effectively is. Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know if he's been legitimized or not. That's
Kind of, yeah.
yeah. That's
And you're not sure whether the Baron would really like everyone going around saying bastard constantly either.
yeah,
Well,
true.
he is a bastard, I mean.
So he sort of looks around. Yeah, the Baron sent us ahead. Myself, Hugh, and he points at the crushed guard, and then he kind of sort of like stops for a second, seeing him crushed. And then this fellow, and he points at the unconscious character on the floor.
I'll try and bring him back up, I guess, using lay on hands.
Yep.
Again, 5 points.
So Ed, you can increase your hit points to 5.
Okay.
I'm going to start looking around, sort of making sure there's nothing else here. Making sure sort of everything's clear. There's no one else sort of half alive under the car, or whilst these guys have got the unconscious guys.
Yeah, you have a hunt around. I mean, you can see some tracks from the wolves, etc., but they seem to have left the scene quite quickly. They've obviously run off somewhere. Ed, do you want to describe what your character looks like?
My character is he's a Geth, or Gith, whichever is pronounced. So he is kind of tall, rangy, probably sort of 6 foot plus, and he's green, which would probably be quite interesting. He's dressed in kind of leather clothing. He's got a hood over him, and he seems to have lots of packs with him of different equipment.
So most of your packs are probably strewn over the place because you were on this cart when it went down the hill.
Yeah. So that's kind of what he looks like. He's tall. He's wearing leather clothing, and he is green.
Yeah. So Dragon, from looking at Ruby, you can see that he's quite badly injured still.
What are you? Some kind of orc? Sort of give him
Your
sort of...
mother's an orc. No, I'm a Gith. Have you never seen a Gith before?
Nope.
No.
You can make a knowledge roll of some description. Maybe Matt or anyone else who wants to.
Knowledge.
Yeah, probably. Nature's probably the closest, to be honest.
Investigation.
Or nature or history.
History.
Apparently, I have heard of Geth.
Oh shit! I've heard of so many Geth. All the
No
Geth.
idea.
Oh, now you mention it, you're a Geth.
All of them. Oh, you mean a Gith? Oh, I thought you meant Geth. Right. Okay.
Yeah, basically, it's
I thought you were talking about the
it's more
robots.
formally known as Gif Yankee.
Is that like a extra paranormal voice that just says that? They're also known as Gith Yankee. And we're like, what? Oh,
The more you know.
You guys are so
Actually, I
racist.
think you'll find it. I'm a Gith Zerai. Because that's what
Oh.
it says on my character sheet.
So racist.
Where I say, yeah, do we all look the same?
To me,
But I don't know.
Yeah.
You're the first one I've seen, so I guess
First one I've seen, so.
Because I think that might be like if you go into India and ask if people are Muslim or Sikh. I think it's a similar thing.
Is that an everyday occurrence for you, Ed? Or?
Well, apparently so. Actually, no, my guy will be quite touchy about it because I'm guessing that he will have to explain who he is and where he comes from over and over and over and over again. So yes, it is a bit of a problem for my character.
you thought I'd be used to it.
I don't know. He isn't.
well, orcs are very well known for being touchy, aren't they? So
Yeah. Well.
Depends what sort of restraining order they've get, I suppose.
I thought your
Right.
type was supposed to be jolly.
So from what you can gather from speaking to Robbik and the guard, they were travelling along the road when part of the road gave out and the cart just literally tumbled down the embankment. Ed's character was knocked out of the cart and basically took a lot of bruising and battering all the way down, and then the cart narrowly missed him just at the bottom. One of the guards was less lucky. He was at the reins and basically ended up underneath the cart and was killed. And the other guard managed to do sort of like just a few bumps and bruises, but was then set upon by wolves.
with the wolves waiting.
No, the wolves.
Yes, they set the trap on the road.
The wolves appeared several hours after the cart had kind of went down the hill.
I'm going to close the eyes of the guy under the cart and say a short prayer over him. And
I will join him.
then sort of turn around to the others. We should burn the bodies before the wolves come back.
Or before they get up.
Or he
and start
turns, I
walking
suppose.
around.
Maybe
If that guy's eyes had been open half of the journey, we wouldn't be in this situation. So you might as well close them because I've been closed most of the journey I've been coming here.
So Ed, you were hired by the same Baron that's hired these guys, but you were hired like a few days ago. So you'd went ahead with these two guards and a small cart of supplies, and you were just heading out earlier while the Baron mentioned that he was going to search for more guards or adventurers or whatever to accompany him when he would be following a few days later. So when you get back to the top, the Baron's obviously quite interested to hear your story and introduces you to the rest of the group as being someone he'd hired to assist in this endeavor. The Baron suggests that because it's late afternoon anyway, it would make sense maybe just to camp on the road. And that will give his people a chance to scavenge and salvage anything from the cart down at the bottom of the hill and load it onto one of the existing carts.
When you say his people, do you mean us?
No, he means the guards and the labourers.
I mean, how far are we from the next town? Or stop, rather?
You're quite far, so if I
Okay.
move this, you guys are about here at the moment.
Ah, okay.
So
So it's probably
you-
another
you-
half day at least.
Yeah, you're gonna have to camp outside anyway.
Well, I'll set up my tiny hut as ever. Because I love that tiny hut.
Well,
Quite
My
energetically,
guy-
I'm going to help move some of the supplies from the cart.
my guy's completely knacked up, so he is just going to find a little corner and sleep to try and recover.
I reckon with my tiny hut, it's cozy.
I don't think I get my foot in the tiny hut.
Have you tried?
Hey, it's got loads of space if you're a halfling.
So
It's like 4 foot.
So
Back to
you-
the conversation about race again. There we go.
You run extra watches throughout the night, given the wolves were in the area. But actually, it's an uneventful watch. Those of you who are injured manage to get long rests if required. So Ed, you can roll your hit dice up to your maximum hit dice actually to recover wounds.
Okay.
When do you hit die come back?
After a long rest, isn't it?
Yeah, I think half of them come back after a long rest or something like that.
So, is that right? I got 4 health.
Yeah,
back.
but you can roll as many hit dice as so if you're
So I
level
do
7
that times 7. Yeah.
If you want to use them all, yeah, you can do that. You can do 7d6 plus 1.
So it's just /7d6 plus 1.
Yeah, forward slash. Yeah, that'll probably work. But you can do it's normally / roll 7d6 plus 1. No, /, not backslash.
Can I snip
sorry.
out for a sec? Totally.
Hey,
So you
29.
recover 29, but that's your hit dice kind of gone for the next period, basically, until you regenerate actual dice.
Okay.
Spells are refreshing.
So next morning, everyone's spells refreshed, etc. You get up. Basically, the Baron's keen to make an early start because of the little bit of time that was lost the previous day, and you head out on the caravan. Matt, are you on your horse this time, or are you on one of the wagons?
Yeah, I'm feeling way more awake today, so I'll head out at the front.
Cool. Make a perception test, please.
All of us?
No, just Matty's character.
Oh mate, I smashed
Yeah,
it.
you aced that. You off on the side of the road. You notice a series of birds circling something.
Okay. I guess I'll just ride over to have a look.
I'm half tempted to give you inspiration for actually that you're play acting tired, but I think it's probably because you're actually tired. So.
I am fucking knackered.
So you head over to the side of this road, and you can see a naked corpse near the side of the road.
Hold him back.
Well, guess it sucks to be you guys. I'll go over and investigate. It's like, what kind of race is it? Is it
Human?
Is it an orc?
boring?
He is still wearing like undergarments, but other than that, his body is totally naked. And there's like a large sort of slash mark across his neck, as if he had his neck slit from behind. So the blood's poured out quite a lot, but obviously it's all dried now. It looks probably a few days old, maybe several days old.
Okay. Are there any kind of... I have no idea. I'm going to ride back to the caravan and let people know what I found. Guess I can't track for shit.
Don't think any of us can, but
Are you all wanting to go down and investigate?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Cool.
a naked guy over there.
Cool.
Cool.
Anybody got a stick?
Thank you.
I'm all for this. Let's see what's happening.
Right, you get to this body. The body has a strange tattoo on the chest. Make a history or investigation roll to see if you understand what it is.
I'll go with him.
Oh wow, nice. All the investigation.
16, that ain't bad.
Yeah, I think probably you're the only person that recognizes this, Ramik. It's the tattoo of a messenger.
That's the tattoo of a messenger.
What,
It's
do
pretty
you mean
hard
that?
to get a tattoo if you're a messenger.
Do you mean
It's a job for life, man. It's a job for life.
is his tattoo a tattoo that messengers get, or is it literally like a little hub tattoo, like a picture of a messenger?
It's a special tattoo that all the messengers are given when they're part of the Messengers Guild.
Okay. So does it like what is it just like does it say anything about him or is it more just
It's more that he is a member of the Messengers Guild
okay.
and thus should be trusted effectively and is effectively it counts in some places as a lot of respect. So generally they always get free room and board at inns. They're trusted to carry messages. If someone wanted to make sure that a message they were handing over to someone was a messenger, they would use the tattoo to authenticate that effectively.
Okay,
what
so it's a way
happens
to
if they find
verify.
someone? What happens if they find someone with a tattoo who isn't part of the messenger guild? You can just get a tattoo and get a free board.
The tattoo's semi-magical, so you can't just get one.
Ah, okay.
I'm guessing as well from the history side of things, if you were saying you were like a king's messenger and you weren't, you were in deep shit.
Yeah, effectively. I mean, if someone even, regardless of whether you've got the tattoo or not, if someone claims to be a messenger when they're not, that is a hanging offence.
Okay.
Because obviously the mail's used quite heavily. It's
Mail is sacred.
important, basically sacred. Yeah. Effectively.
But also, it means obviously it's the messenger. It's unlikely to get intercepted, etc. So it verifies them and shows that it's the messengers guild who are doing it.
So the Baron comes down to look at this as well, and he sort of like says, "Oh, it's bad tidings if someone's killed a messenger. No one touches the messengers."
So it obviously looks like someone's like actively gone out and
Well, his throat's been slit, so it's not something he's done on accident.
yeah.
Almost,
Just fall over the
Try to peel an apple.
almost
Can
at the
we
point.
do a little bit of investigation around the area then? See, if there's
You
anything.
you can
naked, but
can do, Ed. Make an investigation roll.
sorry, I've got my character screen on other computer because this one's rubbish.
Your investigation is.
It's okay. I've got sheets up on the other computer. I'm
That's
logged
okay.
in, so I can do the rolls and everything on
Right.
that.
So Ed, you find the messengers. Well, not the messenger's pack as such, but you find a load of discarded letters
Okay.
that probably would have been in the messenger's pack. Now, what you notice is the messenger's clothing's missing, his pack's missing, and his horse is missing.
Yeah, and the messengers are all still there. So it could be banditry, essentially, because they're leaving the mail, they're nicking his belongings.
Maybe
Um,
Ed's planning to impersonate one.
But selling his horse and stuff like that, they'd probably be able to get away with. But on the other side of things, has the mail been opened? Has it been, does it look like...
It looks like
somebody
it's
was
been.
looking for something?
It's not been opened, but it looks like it's been thumbed through as if someone was searching for something.
Okay.
So it's almost as if someone sat there. You can almost see the marks in the soil where almost someone was sitting there and going through them and tossing them aside.
How big is it?
Looking for something else.
Pretty big if you left an aspirin in the dirt.
Human size. I mean, you can tell he was sitting there, but there's like a core of an apple that's rotted. So he was obviously having eating something after he'd killed the messenger. He obviously sat here, went through the messages, discarding the ones he didn't want, and there's like a core of an apple and maybe some bread that's dried and rotted now.
Can I take that?
Yeah, you can do.
Yeah.
If anyone with medicine can make a medicine roll to see roughly how long ago this was.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. Oh, he's bet and he's been beaten.
24.
I reckon it was about 2 days. I think
So-
it was 2 days.
So both Quail and Avendon know that this.
Well, I think
this
Avendon knows a bit more than me.
exactly, and I will give him a bit more information. You know the rough time. This body's been here for probably sometime between 4 and 5 days. The bit that you know differently, Avendon, is if you recollect, you met a messenger on the road, and
Okay.
working back in your mind the time of it would have taken him to travel to where you met him. It is within like plus or minus half a day of this person dying.
So kind of not necessarily being gentle, sort of looking around his face. I sort of turn to the rest of the group. I think this is Roddick. We saw him a few days ago.
Wait. That was...
I don't know where we're running.
Yeah, I remember now.
Remember when you stopped to camp the first night? There was already a messenger at the campsite.
Just out of interest, if we were to take these letters to a messengers guild, I take it would they have some record of what's been sent and stuff?
No,
Oh.
it's much less official than that.
Right.
No.
Okay.
So there is a number of letters here. So you can open them and have a look through them if you wish.
No,
If
that's
we open
bad.
them-
Not allowed to do
If we
that.
open them up, are we going to get killed?
No, because it's. I mean, in theory, the messages don't all have necessarily addresses on them. So someone will have to go through them anyway, and you might be able to tell why he was killed from this. But what more importantly, there is 6 messages.
Just out of interest, is there a Messengers Guild like sort of representative in most villages, or
No, it tends
Right.
to be the mayor of the town or something like that will collect the messages up, and then the messenger, when they're traveling through, will collect them. There's very few actual cities that have got a messengers guild as such, because they recruit and train in one big city, and then they send them out, and the messengers all have different routes. So it's not as if you can go to the next village and go along and say, "Oh, we found all these." They'll have to wait for the next messenger to come through. So there's 6 letters, one of which stands out completely from the others.
Let's open it up.
Which is a message which has a black seal, a black wax seal on it.
Do we recognise the seal?
No.
Is black wax any significance?
You don't know. It's black. It could be.
It's more
would black wax be used as by a government in some way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is it a common wax to use, or
Not that you're aware of. You might be. Make a history roll. Anyone who wants to.
Brunhilde knows.
So, Brunhilde, you know that this is a message that's been sent from one of the undead cities.
Okay, so the message has been sent from one of the undead cities. Do I know which one, or is it just more of a
No,
generic
it's
thing?
more of a generic. You know that's how they sometimes seal their messages. You
Okay.
also know sometimes they put magical seals on them to prevent tampering.
aha?
Do any of
Yes, you
us
see,
know
I
detect
can-
magic?
Not detect.
You can
magic,
use Arcana to tell if it's magical or not. You won't be able to tell the source of magic without detect magic, but you can use Arcana.
I
don't
have got
know.
detect magic, but let me have a look at my Arcana. Right, let's have a go with that.
Oh, what? 26.
Can you tell me if this has got a magical seal on? Because I can't.
Yes, I can
Well,
tell you if it has a magical seal.
Not that you can't, Ollie. It's just you don't think there is.
Yeah.
Whereas Ed,
I'll open it and find out.
you definitely detect there is some form of magical protection on the letter.
There is. Do I have any insight into what it could do, or is it just a case of I'm not going to open that because I might
You'd have to use something like detect magic to determine what might happen.
Doesn't detect magic literally just detect whether there is magic? It will show you.
It tells you
what
which
kind of-
school of magic.
Alright,
Go on then. Let's give it a go. Let's see if I can find out more because I don't want to open this and a giant spider eat my face.
Or erase the
So-
message or something.
So it's one action.
Yeah, so for if you sense magic in any way, you can use your action to see a faint or around it any visible creatures. It bears the spell can penetrate most barriers. It's blocked by 1 foot stone. So I will tell you what the source of the type of magic is. You have to roll for it.
No, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
reduce the slot that I used. So, just make sure that I've taken it off.
Yeah, it is
There you go.
necromantic.
Okay. Do I know if it's dangerous? As in, if I open this, I'll die. Do I know how to dispel it so I can find out who sent it? You know, it's.
Do you know dispel magic?
Wait.
I
know
does
counter
anyone
spell.
Pardon?
No. I can detect thoughts. I
The
don't.
letter is not thinking bad things about you.
Man.
Just remember, by the way, Ed, if you use detect thoughts, the person that you're detecting them on knows that you're actively using it on them. It's not passive.
Right.
Right. No, I
Maybe
don't. I don't have dispel magic. I've just got detect magic.
So dispel magic is a 3rd level spell.
No, I don't have it. It's fine.
It's just obviously you're not the only caster, so other people might have it. What did you say you had, Ollie?
Counter spell?
Don't think that'll work.
No, I didn't think so. I was.
Do you know what I do have though? I have
That's
Mage Hand
Vampires,
as a
that's
cantrip, which means I can put that 30 feet in front of us and then try and open it. So, you know, we might not get instantly eviscerated.
So I think what you probably could do is, Ollie, you could use counter magic if a spell is triggered as part of opening the letter.
Yeah, I was just going to check how it actually works before I.
I don't think it
Well,
works strictly like that, but I think that's
No.
probably allowable in this case. So if because it might not trigger a spell when you open it. It might be something else. So, for example, it might be letting someone else know it's been opened. That you wouldn't be able to block because it's not directed at you guys. But if, it,
Yeah.
for example, it tried to explode or do something else, then you might be able to stop that using counter spell.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm going to
I'm
back
happy
up
to
a
use
lot
what-
based on what these guys are trying to do with this letter. Maybe go stand on the road.
So I tell you what, before we do that, I will give you each a copy of one of the other letters.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll put them into your handouts, and you guys can decide whether
that-
you open it. So these are just normal letters.
Are they sealed?
No, not really. They're more just. I mean, one or two of them are like partly sealed, maybe, but they're more just like in some cases the letters are just from normal people, so they've just literally folded them over.
All I was trying to get at was if they are sealed, I'd want to obviously like try and like slip around the seal so I could reseal it so it doesn't look like they've been opened.
Yeah, you can do that. That would be
Dex?
sleight of hands, I think, probably.
That's fine.
Right, if you want to make one sleight of hands roll, and then we'll just assume we use that for all of them. Yeah, that's probably enough. So yeah, any of the ones which are sealed, you'll be able to leave the seal intact. Right.
As well.
Just need to do this. So, right, Alex, you should have one in yours now.
Yeah.
Ed, you should have one in yours now. Greg, you should have one in yours. Matt, you should have one in yours. And Ollie's the last one.
Nice one.
So, Ollie, you should have one in yours.
Yep.
Everyone got one?
Yep.
You may read them out if you wish.
Amazing.
Yeah, I've got letter 5 in Elvish. Talwyn, I've cited Velin in.
Can you read
Careg.
Elvish?
I have a spell that lets me read anything.
Ed's an
I
elf.
mean, I can
by the way.
read. I can
No,
read
sorry,
it,
no, Ed's
so if
not
you
an
want me to read it
elf.
out.
Ed's Geff, we've had this
Yeah, sorry,
conversation.
Ed's a gift, yeah.
Be sensitive about it, please.
Yeah. Suffering racism, even like out of the game. It's not. But I do have a spell that I can, if I needed to. But I'm guessing that this isn't exactly the most complex of things, so we could.
Yeah, just assume that you swap letters, but read them out at the moment. Just as
So I've cited Velin in Careg.
Careg, yeah.
Careg. He appears to be masquerading as a merchant. He's acquired some form of illusion magic, and he's making it. And that is making it more difficult to track him. If any of the 9 are nearby, can you direct them to Careg, and perhaps we can end this threat once and for all. Regards, 7. So yeah.
What I'll do is I'll copy them into everyone's journal once each person's read out theirs.
Okay.
Who wants to go next?
You can see Avender like silently shaking with
Actually, yeah, it's quite
laughter
good you've got that one. I
and
never thought of that.
almost like struggling to hold back tears. He's trying to wait for Robic to end his, but you just see him shaking. And the moment he finished, he's like, me. Master Frinlock, I write to you in some distress. When you pass through Careg on your annual visit, you sold me an anointment to cure the unfortunate spots on my unmentionables. The anointment has not had the desired effect. Quite the opposite, in fact. The spots are now huge boils, leaking yellowish push. I'm most distressed, as is my wife, and I've been banned from the Red Rose. The girls, they won't go near me. I fear I'm going to have to seek assistance at the Cleric Prudence, and I'm sure you realise how difficult a conversation that will be. I expect to be receiving a refund and compensation of 50 gold in the next week. Or I will ensure no one buys from you again. Regard, Edmund Castian.
Kai suddenly starts placing very jovial at that.
So we're going to sort this one out, all right?
That's the quest.
That is the main quest.
Yeah.
Oh, it's potential
That's
for the
pretty bad.
performance. That's what I meant. Very jovial. Don't you worry.
Who's next?
I'll go if you like. By the way, is Careg the next town over from us, or
Yes.
okay? My Duke, all is well in Careg. Some taxes have been collected and secured. We're waiting your tax collector's visit. The harvest this year has been good, and the people are preparing for winter. The border with East Shallow, is it?
East Hallow.
Oh, East Hall, sorry.
That's
It's quiet.
that's
We've
the
not
big
seen.
blue city on the map.
Yep, and we've not seen any sign of the Black Hearts or similar this year. The town wall is in need of repair in a number of places, and with your permission, I would like to use the 200 gold tax revenue to fund repairs. I await your quartermaster reply on this. May God watch over you. Bartholomew Blake, Mayor of Careg. So, if you remind me again, which of the Black Hearts are they the ones which work?
Yeah, they're the human mercenaries which work with the undead.
Yep. Okay.
Black Hearts.
Right.
So either Matty or
So,
Alex.
Ergath, I have a slightly unusual question. A fellow merchant claimed to be from the Black Swan Trading Company has arrived in Careg. He arrived with a cargo that he's storing in my warehouse. Very normal, you may think. But something nags me. He doesn't strike me as a merchant. He's made no attempts to sell his cargo, and fellow merchants in Careg mentioned. He has not spoken or introduced himself to them. Yet he appears to be bumping into. appear to be bumping into him. I believe he may be sounding me out for some sort of proposition, and should the situation arise, I'd like your opinion on him. As you're a key member of the Black Swan Trading Company, I'm sure you've run into him. He appears to be half elven and goes by the name. I can't pronounce it. Gellandar? He's quite tall, blonde hair, and dresses fashionably. I look forward to your reply, Kendrick.
Which just leaves a message that Alex has got.
My lord, as I write this letter, we are hastily packing up our camp. In the last week, we have lost 3 guards, the mason, 2 woodcutters, and the warder. They were all taken at night from the camp despite our watches and patrols. No bodies or signs of struggle were found. I've made a decision to leave the village and head to Careg for safety. The supply wagon arrived this morning and I placed this letter in their care. I will be following in a few hours once we've packed up the essentials. When you reach Careg, speak to the merchant Ambrose. He has been arranging the supply wagons and will know where we are staying. Aegon.
So that one seems addressed to the Baron.
Probably a good idea to pass that message on.
Yeah,
Maybe
was
we'll
it
see it.
Was it the same one that we had the first letter in relation to the rebuilding the village?
Yes,
Yeah.
Aegon's the Baron's man who's coordinating all that stuff.
Okay.
So you pass that on to the Baron, who kind of starts reading it with a concerned look on his face. Meanwhile, what do you want to do about this black sealed message?
I'm happy to try and use counterspell if we want to open it.
Yeah.
Do we know who it's addressed to? Sorry.
No, there's no address in it.
Okay.
I'm going to stand
Well,
back.
actually, no, I think there is, but there's a woman's name on it, but not someone you recognise.
Do we know the name though? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
It's not-
it's in the letter, so I'll give it to you.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I was just wanting to know who it's addressed to. It doesn't matter, like who it actually is, because we don't know. But
Yeah.
it's more out of curiosity. Sorry.
No, I'm quite happy to open it. I'm also, like I say, quite happy to use Mage Hand to do it 30 feet
I'm
away
happy
from
to
us.
sit here with
So we don't-
counterspell.
Yep.
You would like, so we can at least try and work out what's in there, for better or for
Yeah.
worse.
Well,
Yep. So Ed, you use Mage Hand to open it, and as you open it, it triggers a curse. which actually still directs to you through the mage hand. It basically targets the person who opened it, and mage hand just acts as an extension of you. However, Ollie can cross off a counter spell usage to dispel that effect.
I just
So
have done.
the message tried to curse you.
With the counter spell, don't you have to cast it higher than the level of the spell itself, or equal?
Equal to, and I think curse is only a 3rd level spell anyway.
Is that bestow curse?
Yeah.
Because I have that. Yeah, it is.
Because just making sure, because I think you have to.
I will give.
Yeah, it's a 3rd level spell, so it's equal to.
Yeah, because I think you have to nominate what level, and then you see if it works, like in a fight.
Yeah.
Because you might know this counter spell.
Right, I've put this letter in everyone's pack. I'll just go around and I'll put all the other letters in, so you've got a reference to them. But it should be labelled sealed letter.
Should one of us read this, or?
Yeah, I mean, for the benefit of people who are watching, if there is any, then yeah.
Just gonna nip to the loo.
Would you like me to do that, or does someone else want to do that?
You can do that,
uh,
I will listen to you.
The letter is sealed with a black wax seal depicting a skull. The letter addresses to Rebecca Wald, Dalhurst. Rebecca, I'm in place in Careg, and preparation runs away for the strike. 2 of the 5 city officials have been brought, and I believe 2 more are susceptible. The 5th will have an unfortunate accident. Our master grows impertinent, and we must act soon. To further complicate matters, it appears people are attempting to reoccupy the village of Estfield. They are far too close to our camp and will need to be disposed of. I assume your preparations in Dalhurst are proceeding well, and we must ensure the council there do not intervene over Careg. Take whatever action you see fit to ensure this. I expect an update next week. X.
So Dalhurst is the city that you came from.
Right, okay.
I think we need to take this to the Baron, do we not?
Yes, I believe we
So-
do.
Is Careg the little village to the right of where the
Yes.
Right.
So this one here is Careg. This one here is Dalhurst, over here, and this one here is East Haven.
Yeah.
And this is a little village that you guys are heading towards.
Okay.
Well, we're heading into Careg next anyway if we're following the road round, aren't we?
Yeah, you'll get to Careg at the end of today.
So that might be the place where we go find whichever officials we need to and take this letter to them.
I assume the Duke would like to sit anyway and doesn't know what to do. And
Yeah, so obviously the Baron seems more concerned over the letter from his guy at Aegon than necessarily the field letter, because that could be anything. He obviously says that sort of letter should be taken to the mayor of Careg, but then he also says, but the mayor of Careg would be on the town council.
can I try and persuade him that maybe it's something that he should take, like, as it is his baronry anyway, he should be. This is something that could very, very much threaten it. But he should probably try and take
his barony doesn't include Careg.
Oh, does it not? Sorry, I didn't realise. Right,
so his barony is quite small. It's only going to include the surrounding area of the original sort of ancestral lands.
Right. Okay.
Say that again. That one. Not without examining the subject. No.
Okay. Do we know where that? Do we know where Edmund?
No, but you've got his name,
Patterson-
and where you got his name, and obviously Careg's not a huge place, so you can probably find him.
I'll get in touch with cleric groups and find out what's going on.
Can I ask the Baron who possesses the lands of Careg, etc.?
Yeah, he gives you a name of a sort of another baron, but the baron is the baron that owns the lands around Careg actually lives in the city, so he lives in Dalhurst.
Right,
so he leaves it to the town council inside Careg to run it.
Right. So, will it be if we get to Dalhurst, will we be able to find a messenger Not necessarily within the Messengers
you're not
Guild,
going,
but
right, remember, you're not going to Dalhurst. You're going to
oh,
Careg.
so Careg. Sorry, when we get to Careg, will we be able to find a message of some sort? Probably. Just out of curiosity.
You can. What some people do, and what they've been doing for the village that's being repaired, is they'll put messengers on trade caravans.
Right.
So
Okay.
if there's not a messenger going through, they might give the message to like a trader. So if you can find a trader which is going out, or if you're willing to pay someone to take the message, especially, then yes, you could.
Okay.
But it wouldn't have
Thank you.
the danger would be sending this sort of message in open hands would be dangerous. That's
Yeah,
what
okay.
that's the sort of thing you'd use a messenger for.
Well,
Okay.
messengers aren't particularly safe. Look at that one.
Yeah.
Quail, how often does the church have like their the priests or rather clerics going backwards and forwards between the towns?
I guess whenever they're needed. So whenever they get a message.
Okay, so it's not.
If someone's in need, or I don't know. I assume maybe that if most large churches would have a cleric, and then maybe they might like if a cleric's needed in a smaller church, they might send one out from the nearest larger church, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a special occasion like a dedication of a new church or something like that, it's rare for like clergy to move. They generally are attached to a church, so unless they're being upgraded or someone dies or something like that, it's unusual for them to be moving too much.
Okay.
Yeah, it is unusual for them to be moving too much.
Unlike Quail, who's very keen to be moving.
Oh, aye, yeah, definitely.
So keen.
Quail, we never
All
asked
the
why are you
key-
so keen to move.
I can't find the words to describe how keen I am. So
Right, so you get back on the road and you have a sort of fairly uneventful day, arriving at the gates of Careg in the evening. The gates are closed at the moment, and there's a couple of guards on the sort of like the battlements, effectively the gates. They hear you guys come in well before you actually reach the gate. Sort of one of them basically looks down and says, "State your business."
Gonna look to the Baron because he's in charge.
or the Baron's man, whoever that is.
Yeah, so one of the Baron's servants comes out basically and sort of like states the Baron's full name, etc., and mentions that they're seeking refuge in Careg overnight. That the Baron is the owner of some land to the north of Careg, and he's expecting to meet up with some of his people in Careg. And the sound of the Baron's name, basically, the gates open and one of the sergeants comes out and liaises with the guards a little bit, and then everyone's sort of like shuffled in as soon as possible before it gets too dark.
Does the Baron who owns the land that Careg is in, is he on good terms with our Baron?
Probably not at the moment because the Baron's like a bastard son, so he's not really had the chance to influence the noble scene much yet. But obviously, if he turns this around, then the nobles are more likely to respect him.
Okay.
So the innkeeper directs you to, sorry, the guard directs you to one of two inns that are in Careg that have still got stabling and space available in them. There is one inn called the Bronze Bell and one inn called the Ruby Shield.
I'm
Okay.
going to the Bronze Bell if nobody else has got any objections.
It does sound cheaper.
Doesn't it?
How does the Baron feel about this?
He's been through here a few times before, and he's stayed at the Bronze Bell before. And he says it's perfectly acceptable inn.
Go for there then.
What's going on with the Ruby Shield? What's the Baron? I'm going to ask the Baron. What's the Ruby Shield like?
He's never stayed there, so he wouldn't know.
Ah, okay.
Go with what you know.
So you pull in your all of the wagons basically into the Bronze Bell. It's quite quiet in the inn, and the innkeeper's very pleased to see such a large party arriving. He basically asks although it's quite late now, he asks if anyone still needs food, and a few of the people sort of like say yes, effectively. So he goes away and gets the kitchen staff on working up some food for everyone and some drinks. The stable boy helps see all the sort of carts, etc., settled. The Baron retires to his room and asks to see you guys first thing in the morning to decide what to do next.
So, do we know what sort of time we'll be departing it in the morning, or will that be decided when we speak with the Baron?
You don't know. The Baron's basically just said he wants to see you first thing in the morning. So what you effectively can gather from the various bits of communication that you've got, the Aegon said that he was abandoning the village to travel a few hours behind the letter, and would be staying in Careg and would let the merchant Ambrose know where to find him. So obviously, in theory, time-wise, he should be in Careg anyway, and the merchant Ambrose should know where to find him, because obviously that letter's made it to the merchant and also out onto the road.
So he should be here in
Yeah. So
Careg,
tomorrow morning, the first place to probably seek out is probably the merchant Ambrose.
Well, whilst in the inn, could I perhaps target some people who look like they're a bit liquored up and ask around sort of who are some of maybe the city officials, maybe names of power around here?
Yep. Make a, I think, persuasion probably roll, but I'll give you advantage because you're targeting people who are, drinking. Yeah. So you get a few names. So you know there's 5 city officials. You know that there's Mayor Bartholomew. There is Cleric Prudence. One person thinks the blacksmith is on it, but isn't sure. And one person says there's also some noble woman, but he can never remember her name. And he's like Melandra, Melissa, something like that.
Okay. Is there any chance I could weave into the conversation about, what do you sort of think these types of people are like? How are they perceived by the general population?
Yeah. So Cleric Prudence is apparently, she's very good as a cleric, but she's also holds a high opinion of herself and is very quick to point out people's flaws. The smith is very reliable. He tends all of the town's equipment, all of the farm gear from the surrounding areas, the guardsman's armor and swords. He's very well respected. He's been here for probably 40-50 years, and he's worked for a number of apprentices that are serving in other places now. The mayor is seen generally as fair. He tries to avoid any significant punishments for people, and always errs on the lighter side of punishments for anyone who's caught for anything. That's about all you get.
Cool. And I buy, maybe the couple of people I've spoken to a drink.
Yeah, that's fine.
And thank you for the time.
Can I ask the landlord, if he knows of the merchant Ambrose, please, or where he might be staying, or where we could find him?
Yeah, he says, "Oh, yeah, of course, Ambrose." And he sort of there's like a load of spilt beer on the bar, and he kind of like puts his finger in it and then draws a little map of where you are, and then like a little street, and then a little way off, basically, and points out where Ambrose's warehouse is.
Okay.
Can I approach the barman and ask if I can find someone to play? If that's okay.
He sort of says, possibly tomorrow night. It's a bit late tonight.
Can I be like, go on, you want to, and try and persuade him into it?
You can do, but you'll be at a disadvantage because you guys have arrived really late, and all he really wants to do is to kind of get you guys off to bed and start preparing for the morning. But yeah, you can roll persuasion at disadvantage. Yeah, he sort of says one song, but no more.
That's all I need.
Make your give
I kind of give Quail a nudge and go, it's that time again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
It's
excuse myself and go to bed.
definitely not your best performance.
No.
And you see like a few patrons leaving, and there's like saying goodnight to the innkeeper and making their way home.
As he starts playing, I start drinking.
You sure you're not part orc?
So
Could do with being.
the Barons arranged 3 rooms for you guys. So however you want to split them, it's up to you.
I'm happy to just go in whatever room. Yeah. If I'm pretending to camp with people, I'm not pretending to be bothered about who I'm with.
Avender tries to
Yeah, you
snag a
can
bed in one of the rooms because he's been sleeping on the floor and in pretty poor places recently.
Well, I mean, it's not particularly important where you stay, but basically, there's 3 rooms made available to you, and the next morning you wake up, you hear like cockerels and stuff like that screaming nearby, and then you hear like a bell in the town, and you hear it sort of chimes, one loud, and then a smaller number of chimes. You reckon you counted 6, so you reckon it's about 6 a.m. And the light's just starting to come up at the moment, and you can smell food somewhere else off in the inn at the moment.
Shall we go for breakfast, gentlemen?
And lady, please.
I'm lady, yeah. It's the hairy feet, it puts me off.
What can I say? I find that very offensive.
So you head downstairs, and most of the guards are already up. There's food being laid on. The Baron's servant, so his manservant, comes over to you guys and says, "Yeah, the Baron's taking breakfast in his room at the moment, but we'd like to see you once his tray comes back down."
So in
Take
that
the
meantime, I'm
opportunity
gonna
to stuff my face.
hustle some food down and then go outside to see if there's a small bit of warm sunlight to meditate in.
Yeah, there's a bit of sunlight about sort of like the way the inn's sort of the town's quite built up, but there's a sort of space in the courtyard area where the sunlight comes through between the buildings.
I'm gonna double check all my equipment and everything else there. I'm sure I did when I was out of it a little bit, but I'm just making sure that all the things that I may need, spellcasting focus, things like that, are all ready. Because I'm reckoning that after we eat, we're off to see the merchant.
Yeah,
So
after you see the Baron.
Can I ask the bar staff what's been going on around the town recently? If there's anything happened, or things are normal, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so you notice that they're kind of a little reluctant to talk about it, but one of the barmaids sort of leans over and goes, "There's a few people been going missing recently. Not a huge number, but it's unusual in a town this size. Have a look at the board," and she kind of gives you a direction in the town towards
Okay.
some sort of notice board, and she says, "You'll see what I mean."
Okay.
Right. Avender, please make a perception roll with advantage. You smell the most disgusting odor you've ever smelt.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so as it kind of like hits my nostrils, it pulls me out of my meditation too soon, and I'm frustrated by the smell of it, and sort of trying to look around to sort of work out where this disturbance has come from.
So you kind of you turn around and you realise that the perfect spot that you've chosen to meditate in, where the light just comes in through the windows, is about 10 feet away from the latrine.
Okay.
And you see the dragon just kind of opening the door and coming out, basically.
So just sort of scowl at him, but don't say anything.
I would not go in there.
Thanks
Ooh,
for the heads
Anybody
up.
got a match?
I need some sacred flame for that.
So
I'm gonna click my fingers and make a little mini circuit flip.
Goes up like a Christmas tree.
I look like.
So you arrive back. You get meet up back up. You finish off your breakfast, and the manservant of the Baron comes down and sort of says the Baron's ready to see you now. And you go upstairs and you see the Baron's got quite a plush room. It's actually got like a little sort of sitting room attached to it, as well as like a door leads through to the bedroom. You can see that the Baron's got a lot of his maps and books and stuff out, and he kind of gestures. There's not enough seats for you to all sit down, but he sort of gestures that if you want to take seats, you can.
I'm gonna sit on the floor because I'm tiny, so I'm not bothered.
Yeah. So he sort of clears his throat and he's like, I fear we need to postpone our plans until we can ascertain what's happened to Aegon and the others. It would be foolish to continue until we know. So I think we probably want to stay here for a few days as we work out what's happening. If you're able to locate Aegon and we can get a story, then it might be worth going out and seeing what's caused them to flee the village now. But I think the first protocol would be if you could visit this merchant Ambrose and see if you could find out where Aegon's staying, and then bring him back to me, and we can discuss how we want to move on from there.
Can I ask the Baron though what he makes about the last reopening of the seal? Because obviously it affects him and the greater area. If we do nothing about it, that could well be very disastrous for everyone involved.
Yeah, he sort of interrupts and sort of says, "Yes, it has been weighing on mine heavily, but I'm not quite sure what to do. The letter implies that they've compromised several of the town members, and it would be the town members that we normally go to. We could speak to the town captain, maybe the guard captain, but how would we know if they hadn't reached him as well?"
So, if we wanted to try and send this information back, how would we go about it, and how would you recommend we try and get it back securely, should we say?
And he turns to Rabik at this point and says, "Do you have any magical means to send communication back that couldn't be intercepted?"
Does anyone have send message?
Why send pigeon?
No, I don't think. I can detect thoughts. And I can summon lesser demons, but I don't think that would help in this case.
Yeah.
Maybe do they have a library here, or a mage college, or maybe just a man in a shack that knows some spells?
Yeah, I mean the cleric's probably the only magic user in a town of this size.
I can do sending. I don't have it prepared, but I mean, it says I can send a short message of 25 words or less to a creature with which you are familiar. The creature hears the message in its mind, recognizes you as a sender if it knows you, and can answer in a like manner immediately.
What's the range?
Is there anyone in the...
You can send the message across any distance and even to other planes of existence, but if the target is on a different plane than you, there is a 5% chance the message didn't arrive. So I think I need to actually I need to be familiar with the person. So I can't just if the Baron's familiar with them, but I'm not, I can't just send it to that person.
But is there anyone within the church that you trust?
Well, there's the abbot, isn't there?
I can send it to the abbot.
Because this is quite worrying.
Let's have a look. Where are you getting send message from? Is that on the spell?
It's a 3rd level spell. I haven't got it prepared on my thing.
Oh, right. So basically what you're saying is next tonight you would prepare it and then send the message tomorrow?
Yeah, I could do that.
Let me just I'll just check the spell and see if that's...
Sorry,
that would work. But it sounds like that would work, but to the abbot, because you know the abbot.
Well, as long as I'm familiar with them, and I assume I don't know anybody in the Barons.
It would take several days to send a messenger anyway, and I think that's surely the most secure way because he's going to trust you, and he knows the Baron of these lands anyway. Surely.
I need a short piece of copper wire.
Yeah, that's fine. That counts as being in your arcane pack sort of thing. So how many 3rd level spells can you cast a day?
3.
So you could send up to 75 words.
I could,
So
but that would be using all my
Yes.
level 3 things.
and you so but effectively yes. So you you say that to the Baron, and the Baron's like, yes, I think sending he knows the abbot well because he was the person that contacted the abbot. I think the abbot's a good choice. He's well respected in Dalhurst. He'll know what to do. We just need to work out what message to send to him. I'll have a think on that while you're out today. As you say, it's going to take you some time to prepare that.
Well, why don't you just, if we just send either 25 or 50 word message that basically like gives them a very brief description, and then say that like a more detailed account will be forthcoming within the next couple of days, and send it with a messenger.
The problem with sending a messenger
is
this if it's intercepted.
Yeah.
The Baron doesn't want to put it into words.
Well, you could write it in code or something. I don't know. If there's a code that maybe the abbot knows, or
There's not something that he's ever prepared with the abbot. He sort of says, let me think about it. I'll see if I can come up with a message in 25 words or so. Perhaps you could think about what you might want to send as well, and then we'll compare notes tomorrow, I guess, when you're capable of sending the message.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All these busy counting words.
Yep. Sorry, Brunhilde.
Right. So the Baron would like you to go and speak to this merchant Ambrose to find out what has happened or where Aegon is.
Let's go speak to this merchant then, unless anybody got anything else they need to do here.
Am I right in thinking we were initially hired just to take the caravan to Careg?
No, you are hired to take the caravan to the village, and stay on retainer for 2 weeks while they prepare the village and get it secured.
Okay.
And then the Baron would then discuss further payment with you at that time.
Okay. I won't hold out my hand for coin then.
So you head out of the inn. You get some directions just one last time to make sure they're fresh in your memory. You head out onto the main street. You can see that the town's starting to come alive now. Most of the tradespeople and are all already up, and there's people hawking their wares in the street. You occasionally see guards in the livery of the town, like just on patrol, but they seem to be they're more like talking friendlily with the shopkeepers and the people they pass in the street, rather than being like too much on patrol. They don't seem particularly cared at the moment. They seem to be just doing a show faces sort of patrol. You start heading down this main street, and Brunhilde, you notice this board that one of the barmaids pointed out to you, and you can see, as well as various like town messages, like missing cat, fresh batch of cider available from the blah. There's 2 or 3 messages about missing people.
Okay. Can I take a note about the cider as well? I'm curious about it.
You can do, yeah. So that's at the other end, the
Ruby Shield.
Ruby Shield, yes. So
Okay.
there's a little note saying that they've just had a fresh batch of cider delivered. And sort of get it while you can.
Does it say how old it is, or what date they put it on? Or is it just on there?
No, it's just on the notes board.
Okay.
So I mean, to be honest, the notes could be like a month old for all you know.
Worth checking out though.
It looks. The notice looks fresh anyway.
Cool.
But you can see 2 to 3 other messages of people sort of like saying like John went missing 3 nights ago. Haven't heard from him. Can't offer much, but please, if you've heard anything, speak to me at the wherever the person work. There's 2 or 3 very similar messages that seem to suggest in the last maybe 2 weeks a few people have went missing.
Is there a Black Swan Trading Company like office in Careg?
No.
Right.
It seems to me not necessarily coincidental, but it does seem, a bit odd that we find that letter with the back seal, and then there's more people than would be normal going missing. Do you think this is something we should look into, guys, or?
Well, there's also the thing that with the letter about there's the letter that was in Elvish saying from a guy who's just a person that's just signed it as 7. and then there's the sealed letter, which is says something about the 7 or 9 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it might be worth you guys taking a minute just to read all the letters you've got to see which ones might overlap from each other.
Yeah, that's
Well, there's a letter that Matt got, which is
Matt's
from
letter.
Kendrick, which is about the merchant.
Oop.
it's gone dead.
I get the feeling that Alex's internet's not as good as it was when it was a mess.
Yeah, I reckon Amy's talking on the phone, so he can't get on the internet anymore.
Well, the thing is, Matt, now you've finally got internet. You've got the best internet possible.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, I've
Sorry.
had better internet, but it's definitely better than BT.
Yeah.
Hang on. Alex's dial-up's probably better.
So in Alex's letter, it talks about Merchant Ambrose was arranging the supply wagons.
So my idea went funny.
I think, well, I mean, it wouldn't be a far reach for his characters to link the idea that there's an undead lord, lady, person who is trying to undermine the town and start a rebellion, especially if this is a town that's trying to be fortified before whatever's going to happen is happening.
And it's on the border as well, of
yeah.
course.
And then you add into that the fact that you have missing people and everything else.
So maybe
There's
we
gotta
can
be
go
a link
talk to
between
Kendrick.
those two. I think that's any of us with any
And
thought of adventuring would
maybe we
know.
could ask her
There's got to
about
be a
Balin.
link between these
I've got no
things.
intelligence, so.
Yeah, but even with that, I think we need.
Or if, I don't know
My
who's
personal thing is let's go have a
what's
word with
the
this
merchant that we're going to see supposed to be called?
and then from
Ambrose.
there,
Ambrose.
and
So
from there,
maybe don't ask Ambrose about
start
Balin
trying
because
to
he
link
might be
maybe
Balin.
who's missing, where they're
Because
kind of
there's
fitting on
supposedly
this,
a
and if there's a common denominator between them all.
person masquerade.
That seems to
merchant.
be.
It might be
I mean, I
Ambrose.
don't know. Are you guys happy with that? Or would you want to do it in a different?
No, exactly. I do think there's definitely something.
Oh no, it's not. He's called Gelendar. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, there's the
Well, that
merchant.
sounds like
There's a merchant called
Can
Gelendar
I
as well.
take 2 minutes at this point?
Who's the one
need to-
who's storing something in
Yeah,
the
I'll
warehouse?
do
Yeah.
the same.
Cheers, Ed.
Cheers.
So, 2-minute break if anyone needs a break. It was funny when they're talking over. I thought they're just being rude to each other.
I know. I was just like, huh?
Apparently, Ed doesn't like Alex, and
I just
equally the same.
Hey!
Hello.
Microaggressions.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Because back before, we could both see you guys, and you were literally having the whole conversation on top of each other. And we're sitting there thinking they're being really rude to each other.
I assumed it was
I
just
did think it was a bit weird because nobody was saying anything.
I literally didn't know what the conversation was.
Right. So, do you want to have a talk about those letters, or have you're happy you've kind of got a gist of?
So
maybe have it again, but one at a time.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you go through the letters one at a time?
if we go for our
Well-
own letter each, probably is the best way, and then
Yeah.
the
that's
black sealed one at the end, maybe.
true. Yeah.
So the letters are numbered anyway, and they're all in your inventory now.
Okay.
So if you want to jump for the ones that are listed from Messenger, if you want to jump maybe 1 to 5.
Yeah, do it in numerical order. It's probably the most sensible idea.
Do you want me to read them out to make it easier? And then
Yes.
you guys can just pay attention. Right, so letter 1 was the one about the ointment, so we'll skip that one. I think you guys know what's going
That's
on.
the most important letter.
That is the most important
Yeah.
one. I actually want to go
That's
talk
not
to Cleric Prudence about that.
So the next one, Ergath, I have a slightly unusual question. A fellow merchant claiming to be from the Black Swan Trading Company has arrived in Careg. He arrived with a cargo that he's storing in my warehouse. All very normal, you may think. But something nags at me. He doesn't strike me as a merchant. He's made no attempt to sell his cargo. And my fellow merchants in Careg mentioned he's not spoken to or introduced himself to them. Yet I keep appearing to bump into him. I believe he may be sounding me out for some sort of proposition. And should the situation arise, I'd like your opinion on him as a key member of the Black Swan Trading Company. I'm sure you've run into him. He appears to be half-elven and goes by the name of Gelendar. Quite tall, blonde hair, dresses fashionably. I look forward to your reply, your friend Kendrick.
Just before you move on,
Yeah.
I was thinking. So the names I got when I was in the tavern, I managed to get 2 names, a blacksmith, a noblewoman not sure of, but not a 5th name. Is it possible that maybe Merchant Ambrose is one of these town's officials? do
Possibly.
you think, guys? Because I'm wondering whether he's corrupted. If don't know.
Could we not just ask him? Because that isn't secret information, is it? Are you on town council as well? Be a useless council if you were just saying, yeah, but I'm not going to tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we meet at midnight wearing masks and we don't know each other's identity.
Okay, no, sounds like Kirk Leach.
But it's all for the greater good.
Yeah, but I'm guessing we could ask him that without giving away the fact we're hunting for,
I
you
don't
know,
know.
who the
Who are we
traitors
hunting
are.
for? Like,
Yeah,
I don't really know who we are hunting
from
for.
this message, you gather that the message was sent to the bigger city, and it was sent towards a guy called Ergath. So he's obviously a member of the Black Swan Trading Company in the bigger city, and it was sent from a merchant in Careg called Kendrick.
Could
So
I
you've now got
lost
the
the
name.
Ollie, or has he just disappeared from me?
Ollie's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got the name of two merchants now, Ambrose and Kendrick.
Well, I suppose he's a merchant.
So we could, because one of them's in the city we're currently in, aren't they? Right?
Both of those guys are in the city you're currently in, Kendrick and Ambrose.
Well, and this Galinder.
Yes,
person.
you've got his name as well, and he's apparently a merchant in this city as well.
Okay. Shall we? What's the next letter on?
So next letter was letter 3, which was, "My lord, as I write this letter, we are hastily preparing to pack our camp. In the last week, we have lost 3 guards, the mason, 2 woodcutters, and the warder. All were taken from the camp. All were taken at night from the camp, despite our watches and patrols. No bodies or sign of struggles were found. I've made the decision to leave the village and head to Careg for safety. The supply wagon arrived this morning, and I placed this letter in their care. I will be following a few hours later once we've packed all of the essentials. When we reach Careg, speak to Merchant Ambrose. He has been arranging the supply wagons, and will know where we are staying."
So Ambrose first stop.
It seems like there's more than one thing for him, doesn't it?
So letter 4 was, "My Duke, all is well in Careg. The summer tax has been collected and secured, waiting your tax collector's visit. The harvest issue has been good and the people are preparing for winter. The boarding with East Hallow is quiet and we've not seen any sign of the Black Hearts or similar this year. The town wall is needing repair in a number of places, and with your permission, I would like to use 200 gold from the tax revenue to fund the repairs. I will await your quartermaster's reply on this. May God watch over you. Bartholomew Blake, Mayor of Careg." And that was obviously directed to the Duke who runs the city. And the last letter before the black one was this one that was written in Elvish that said, "Talwyn, I have sighted Vaelin in Careg. He appears to be masquerading as a merchant. He's acquired some form of illusion magic, and that is making it more difficult to track him. If any of the 9 are nearby, can you direct them to Careg, and perhaps we can end this threat once and for all." 7.
So I wonder if this is the guy that's made the other man unsettled, the unusual merchant.
Well, I think maybe the masquerading merchant is the
Gelendar.
Yeah, and then maybe the 7 person is, as soon as the letter's in it, obviously you don't have to be Elvish to an elf to write in Elvish, but it would, you'd make the assumption that they probably might be an elf.
Yeah.
But,
And the last letter, the one that was sealed in black wax, reads, "Rebecca, I am in place in Careg and preparations are underway for the strike. 2 of the 5 city officials have been brought, and I believe 2 more are susceptible. The 5th will have an unfortunate accident. Our master grows impatient and we must act soon. To further complicate matters, it appears that people are attempting to reoccupy the village of Estfield, which is where you were heading. They are far too close to our camp and will need to be disposed of. I assume your preparations in Dalhurst are proceeding well. We must ensure that the council there does not intervene over Careg. Take whatever action you see fit to ensure this. I expect an update in the next week."
is it widely known that the village of Estfield is going to be reoccupied, or is it only known to like a few people in Careg?
Word is a town the size of Careg's not huge, so word has probably got round, given the number of supply caravans that would have been going in and out, and given the fact that Aegon may well have been hiring people directly from Careg to help with the rebuilding. So it's probably not completely common knowledge, but there's probably a fair number of people who do know.
Yeah, I was just maybe wondering, because if it was like only known by the town council, then that would considerably cut down the amount of people who who sent this letter? Because if
Yeah.
only like say 6 people know, they'll probably know that it's one of 6 people. But
I don't.
obviously
Yeah, I think it's probably. I think you could probably say maybe it's maybe a quarter of the town probably know,
right.
just from sort of like gossip and word of mouth and stuff like that.
But maybe it might be from the Gelendar person, because if he has a lot, he says that the person says that 2 of the 5. I'm assuming that's supposed to say have been bought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if this Gelendar is rented a warehouse and he's just basically running around and I don't know how much money he's got, but if he's normally merchants have got money, so he could possibly be the person who sent this letter is the Gelendar person.
Yeah,
possibly.
I wonder whether it's worth talking to Kendrick before we go see Ambrose. If he is concerned about things going on.
Is Kendrick on the council? No.
No.
You
Right,
don't know.
well-
You don't know everyone who's on the council yet. So
But
you
he's
might
come
want to try.
from-
You might want to try and find out exactly who's on the council before you make a decision. Before you go and see Kendrick or Ambrose, maybe.
Is there a town hall?
Yeah, there will be. There'll be like a town hall with scribes and clerks and stuff in it.
Wouldn't we be better off going to the town hall and talking to one of the clerks, because they'd probably just know? And if it's supposed to be like Ed said, if it's supposed to like open knowledge, then they'd probably just tell us. And Ed's just
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it would be perfectly acceptable of you to inquire at the town hall as to who sits on the town council. You could come up with any excuse, almost like, you want to make representations to them, or you're interested in the disposition of the council, so you understand what the interests that they've got is.
Yeah. So if maybe we went in there and just asked that. Maybe if we did
you
that
can always,
first.
and you can always pass some money across if you want to.
If we did that first, and then we'd know exactly who all the town council members are before we then go around and start asking questions. Because if we start asking questions first, then
To the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Ed gone?
I don't know. I'm
DC'd.
kind of waiting Ed to get back because I need him for the next bit. Oh, here we go. Is it Ed?
It's a while. Ed is no.
There we go.
Didn't even realise I'd disappeared, to be honest, guys, because I can see myself on the screen. So I was always there.
Right, so
I was
Yeah,
pretty
you've
cool.
disappeared.
Nat 20 on stealth.
let's just check. Alex, can you see Ed? And can you see Alex?
Yeah.
Right, cool. So
I was
But-
going to say, considering that they don't want that village occupying, maybe the Baron could be potentially in danger. Would it be worth leaving a guard with him?
he's got his guards with him at the camp, at the inn. So he's probably got. I think we said he had about 6 guards on the caravan with him. You could obviously warn them to be more aware.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, letting them
Give
know.
him a heads up at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a speak to like the sort of corporal that he's brought with him, of his sort of household guard, and he sort of takes your concerns on board and mentions, yeah, we'll make sure there's always two guards close to the Duke, also the Baron at all times.
Okay.
Right, so Ed, while you were away, the others have decided that the first thing that they want to do really is go to the town hall to ascertain who the remaining members of the council are before they speak to Ambrose or Kendrick, just in case they could be one of the compromised members or not.
Yeah, it's cool. I could hear everybody. I didn't realise I wasn't there. If you know what I mean. So yeah, I caught that bit. I were actually adding things into it that obviously nobody heard. But you know what? My insight, your pearls of wisdom, gone. You should internet better, guys.
Sorry,
Right.
Ed.
So you head out, and again, as I mentioned, into the bustle of the street. You got to this notice board. You've taken note of the fact that there's people going missing. You don't feel it's right necessarily to take these messages off the board, but obviously you know they're going to be here if you want to come back and look at them in the future. So you ask directions to where the town hall is, and someone points out to a direction on the other side of the town, and mentions, the town hall's over there. It's 2 streets away from the church, and you can see the church steeple above the buildings.
So I said to the town hall.
Couldn't we just go to the church and ask them? I'll go to the church.
You could do, but bear in mind, you know that Prudence is
I was
on
going to say, yeah.
definitely on the
good point.
council.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe not then.
you start to head through the streets. What's everyone's passive perception, please?
So good.
13.
25.
All the passive perceptions.
11.
You sure, Ed?
No, I just made up a number.
Say it with confidence, Ed.
No, I did.
16.
Perception.
Bottom left, passive bottom.
Just below
Oh,
skills.
yeah, 13. Sorry.
16.
Right. Anyone who's got 15 or higher notices a black cloud just sort of like a street away from where you are, and you can hear shouts of fire in the distance.
I'm going to point that out to everybody, and I'm going to go help.
Yep.
So you run down. You kind of run down this side street to get onto this sort of main street running parallel to the one that you're on, and you can see there's a building that's kind of slightly on its own. That it's well ablaze. The whole building is burning. There's smoke plumes coming off it, and you can hear the creaking noises. Some of the wooden beams supporting the roof collapse. You can see that there's people trying to sort of like form up a bucket line between a nearby well, but there's very few buckets to hand, so that it's not particularly effective. You reckon it's a blacksmith's.
I guess run forward and the person that's at the front of the queue with the buckets, ask them if there's anyone inside.
And he sort of looks around. Yeah, the blacksmith. We think he was in there working.
So I'm just going to run towards the door.
I'm going to follow on thinking, should I cast Tidal Wave? Put out the fire. But probably not.
But you can do.
I'd probably sweep away the house and everybody in it as well. So.
Tidal Wave.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly the
Sleep Storm didn't seem to make it.
How big is tidal? How big is this tidal? Like, as in, it's like a 50-foot wave.
Just demolish the city.
Yeah.
It is 20-foot cylinder. 40 foot in radius.
It wipes out the blacksmiths and then a quarter of the village.
Hey, nobody's dying in that fire today.
A couple of people drowned.
Yeah.
So Dragon, you kind of get to the door, and the flames are literally too intense for you to go through without taking sort of significant damage.
I'm going to run around the back.
Right, you start running around looking for a rear entrance to the blacksmiths. Do you want to try going in through the flames, Dragon?
Could I cast? Could I cast shield? It says that an invisible barrier of magical force appears and protects you until the start of your next turn. You have a +5 bonus to AC, including against the triggering attack. So I don't know whether that would.
It wouldn't help you with this because it's not an attack against your AC.
Sorry, wrong button. I didn't mean to cast a spell then.
But yeah, I'm still going to try and push my way in. I'll just take, I'll run in. There's someone in there, so they need to get out.
Right, cool.
I'll just cover my face a little bit, so protect from the smoke inhalation.
Yeah, so I will give you a dex save to reduce the damage by half. This is the damage. So I'll give you a dex save of DC 14.
Fucking smashed it.
You take half, so 19.
So he just takes 19 damage right off the bat, even just that's alright.
Basically he's running into. It's not just a burning building. He's running into a blaze, effectively.
I think this is an assassination.
I'm going to cast Sleet Storm because it says it. The area is heavily obscured and exposed to flame. In the area it's down. So essentially, I'm putting out the fire with Sleet Storm.
You could have maybe waited until Matt's.
Yeah, I was reading.
Well, Matt's
So,
burning
yeah.
to death.
It says, yeah, it's a 20-foot tall cylinder, 40-foot radius, centered on the point I choose. The area is heavily obscured, and exposed flames in the area are doused. The ground.
Yeah, you cast that over the building, and obviously it takes a little bit of time to affect. So basically, the sleet storm starts coming down, and you can hear a hissing noise as the flames start to go out, basically, and a huge cloud of steam starts to appear around where the flames were. So basically, both Matty and Greg, you're obscured effectively as you try and go in. So Avinder, you make it round to the back, and you kind of see that there's what would have been a way in, but that's one of the beams has collapsed over it. But you can maybe try and climb in through the gap.
Yeah, I'll definitely try that. Do you want to roll for it?
I think maybe make either athletics or probably acrobatics actually to try and get through the little gap. Yep, I think you're fine. So you basically clamber into the gap, and you're in this like really dark, hot sort of back room to the blacksmiths. You can't see anyone in here, so maybe there's like a door that leads through to the front area. You think you saw like the shape of Dragon's character coming in through the front door as you were coming in here.
Okay, I'm going to shout out, hello? Anyone in here? Anyone still in here?
So both Dragon and Avinder, you need to make dexterity saving throws.
Oh dear.
Nice.
Ed, what's your DC? Your save DC?
15.
So even with your bonus, Matt, you're not going to make that. So you guys both fall prone in the sleet that Ed's sleet storm has created.
We're inside.
Yeah, but Ed's targeted it all inside. Remember, there's not really a roof on the building anymore.
So the roof's collapsed.
Partly, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to yelp as I sort of fall to the floor, hit my ass.
Yeah,
You're not on fire, though, are you, Greg? You're not on fire.
I mean, I am. So yeah, I'll just start yelling out, see if we can locate the person that's supposed to be in the building.
Yeah, make a perception roll each with disadvantage.
I can't hear or see anything.
I might.
I got nothing.
Right. So Dragon, you spot what looks like the form of like a human figure, quite a large human figure. He seems to have been sort of blown back from the like the work area of the blacksmith against the wall, and there's like a load of collapsed shelving and crates and stuff like that that seem to have fallen on him.
Okay. I'm gonna try and get up and try and pull the crates and stuff off the top of him, so we can get him out.
Yeah. So the fire is definitely dousing down now as the spell takes more and more effect. So Avinder, you manage to get back to your feet, and you can kind of see Dragon's character, or Dragon, sort of like seems to be helping and try to move stuff away from someone in the corner.
Okay, I go over and try and aid some strength to lift him.
Yep. So you basically, between the two of you, you manage to get this guy out, and he's basically quite a burly looking, sort of middle-aged or late middle-aged man, probably around about 50. He's sort of balding. He's got quite big muscles, but his most of his body is like blackened with soot, and he's also got like a number of small like burns across his body in different areas.
Human.
He's unconscious at the moment. He's human, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If I can, pick him up and then start making my way to the door.
Yeah, you managed to get out, and basically the crowd cheers as you guys sort of like come out with him. I mean, obviously the crowd are making an assumption that he's still alive, but you guys are sort of carrying him out between you.
Yeah. I guess as soon as we get a safe distance, I'll use lay on hands to try and, heal his injuries.
Has he died?
Really life-threatening ones.
Is he dead or?
We don't know that.
Okay.
I guess I'll find out if he comes back to life after lay on hands.
Can you use medicine to check his vitals?
Yeah, so he's still alive. You know that much now. The guard have also started appearing now to try and push people back, push the crowd back, and they're now that they've realised that the rain is, or the sleet that's miraculously appeared has put the fire out. They've sort of stopped hunting around for buckets, and they just seem to be controlling the crowd while they see what happens.
You're welcome, townsfolk.
Everybody's got wet washing.
Oh my god, an orc!
So is someone going
Yeah,
to heal
fuck
this
you,
guy?
Pinky.
I just said I was using Lion Hands on him.
How much?
Well, I guess 10 points.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, you bring him back round basically, and he kind of sharply inhales a sort of breath of fresh air, and he just kind of looks up to you, and sort of starts thanking you basically.
Whilst
And,
Dragon's over there, can I go back in and just sort of have a quick scout around, to check that there's no one else in there, and sort of just to have a quick initial look at the damage and what's
Yeah.
see if there's a cause.
Can I assist him?
yeah, you can. Make investigation rolls.
Both of us.
Yep.
I don't find a lot.
I found average things.
Average amount of things. This is indeed a blacksmith's. Or was.
Well, it's more black than Smiths now. That's all.
Yeah. So, Avender, there's something unusual that's nagging at you, but you're not sure what. Something about the explosion doesn't seem right.
Okay. Does it look like when you're talking about explosion? Can I
Well,
see a center
yes,
point?
it looks like an actual explosion rather than the building catching fire. Which is so what you'd expect in this situation would be like a stray spark or something like that to hit some hay and for the building to go up. This seems more like a sudden explosion.
To the point where stuff's moved or the windows are blown out, or smaller
Yes.
than that? Okay. Okay. I kind of point out to maybe a center of impact to Robic.
Yeah. So both of you make investigation rolls again with advantage this time.
Wait.
So you both spot this. Ed, you notice it's got a slight magical aura to it. You notice like a small iron sphere, probably be about the size of a tennis ball, sitting in the actually in the sort of main kiln fire alongside parts of the coal and stuff. You find.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
You find when you've seen this one, you notice 2 or 3 other bits of fragments that look exactly the same that are scattered around the room. So it looks like some of them have went off and one of them hasn't.
Okay.
Maybe don't touch it.
Would I have any knowledge about what this spell might be? Because
You don't think it's a
obviously-
spell?
Okay.
Just
Then-
use a spell.
I would the live one, I suppose. I might use Mage Hands to move it out of the way so it's less likely to explode because in contact with fire or whatever it is.
Yeah. So you mage hand the it out of the way and basically you drop it in like a bucket that's started to fill up with the sleet.
Yeah, that'll do me.
You reckon it might be something alchemical,
Okay, well,
but you
yeah.
don't have enough personal experience with that.
I kind of tell people this
That's
because
fantastic.
there's no point me saying the same thing. It's just
What
one
happened?
but that's kind of how I present it over it. I also use Mage Hand to get the one that has exploded already, like the fragments that are in
We
the...
can't hear you, Alex. We're just ignoring you.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry.
That's how it is.
I can't hear. Alex has
That's okay.
disappeared in
I'm
mine.
used to it. Anyway.
Oh no, Ed can't hear you apparently.
I can't see or
shrink
hear
it.
it.
Oh god. Gotta love Roll20, haven't you?
Oh, I can see him now.
I like how
Hey,
it's just
Is
there.
that is that an improvement or would you?
Yeah, I can see it.
Right, cool. So, one of the guard captains kind of appears, and you can see one of the guardmen sort of pointing out you guys, and the guard captain comes over and introduces himself. His name is where's my name? It's gone. So he is Guard Captain Nickel. And he kind of he sort of like looks at you and says, "I understand you're responsible for saving the blacksmith." Who he tells you is Horick, Smith Horick.
Isn't he on the council?
Yeah. Smith
Yeah.
Horick is a valued member of the town council.
He may even be the one that they had to get rid of.
It's a double bluff.
Maybe. They did say that he was going to have a unfortunate accident.
Someone threw some alchemical grenades at him. Terrible accident.
Yeah, so the captain basically says that a couple of his men are going to take him over to Cleric Prudence for healing. Can you tell him what happened or what you know, what you found?
Maybe I could heal him.
Oh, if you've got that skill, I mean, he kind of notices your holy symbols on you.
Can I just ask a question about one of my things I can do is that. So, is that just a thing I can just do?
It's a pool, basically. So, you've got when you use the feature. So Matty's got something similar but slightly different. Matty has a pool of hit points that he can heal every long rest, but he can choose to spend like 5 now, another 10 in an hour, another 10 in. Yours is more like you cast it once, but you can then split that 35 pool up among any number of creatures within 30 feet of yours.
Yeah,
so yours is more like an AoE healing, basically.
Is that like once a day, or can I just use it and then use it again and then use it again?
If you look at your character sheet under the bit that says the resources section, it will say divinity uses.
Oh right, yeah, it's 2. Yeah, channel
so
divinity.
you would cross that down when you use that type of channel divinity. So you've got 2 per long rest.
Okay, yeah, it just says channel. It says channel divinity, no action, uses 2 refresh every short rest. Then channel divinity, turn undead, 1 action. So.
Yeah, so it sounds like your channels refresh every short rest rather than every long rest. But what you'll find is as you go up levels, you'll get more and more uses for channel divinity. But you've got that limited resource of how you choose to use them. So
right.
it's a bit like spells, but they come out of a separate pool.
So could I just use that?
Yeah, you can use one of that, and then you can target. You can either target all 35 on him, or because Matt was injured in the flames, you could give Matt some of that as well.
Well, it says it's up to half the creature's half. So if Matt hasn't got below half, then there's no point in using it on Matt because it just won't do anything. I'm assuming because it says restore up to 35 HP divided among any creatures within 30 feet up to half a creature's HP max. So,
so if I had 20 HP, you couldn't heal more than 10.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have got more than half your HP. Do you?
No, it's just in total you can't heal more than half of what his total is.
I understand. So what I'm saying is that if he's over his half, then there's no point me doing it on him. So
it's I think the way what it means is you can restore a maximum of whatever half the HP is, but you can do that regardless of the state the person's in. So if the person had 40 hit points, you can heal a maximum of 20. But that doesn't matter whether the person's on 5, 10, 15, or 20.
It says up to half a thing. So I'm assuming that would mean if you can't heal above
but because it says HP maximum, I think what it means is the amount of the 35 you can spend on an individual is maxed out at half of their total hit points. But you can still use it if they're above half.
Oh, okay. Right.
I think that's the way it reads, Matt. Is that the way you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, in this case, you could probably spend whatever Matt's lost, 19. And you reckon that Kendrick probably needs 10 to heal him?
I'll just whatever Matt needs to heal, whatever Kendrick needs, and then whatever's left can just be used for Towns and Robic. Yeah, because
I need 3 to get me back up to full.
Yeah, so it
yeah.
sounds like you've got enough to get everyone that's out of those 3 people. You've got enough to get them all up to full health. So you do this and channel your divinity. So basically, you pray for a second, and then a glowing sort of light appears around the people that you're healing.
praise God,
Praise Jesus.
praise Jesus.
I feel a lot better now. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Yeah, so Kendrick sort of starts to walk over to try and assess the damage that's happened to his blacksmith since he's been healed by you guys.
Could we talk to Kendrick? Because I don't really want to talk to this.
Yeah, you can't do it. The
woman.
guards. The guards sort of disperse now that the situation's under control and he's healed. The guards sort of disperse. They leave a couple of guards here just to make sure people other than Kendrick don't get too close.
Kendrick
Could we
or Horrick?
could we assume that the blacksmith isn't one of the 2 of the 5 that have been bought off as they tried to kill him?
I assume that's a question for you guys, not me.
I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, I would assume he's the one that they were hoping would meet an unfortunate accident.
Dave, can
So
I just check?
maybe
It's Horrick,
is he
not
on-
Kendrick, in it.
Yes,
So
sorry,
yes,
Horrick.
sorry,
Yeah.
Horrick. Yeah, sorry, Horrick. Yeah.
So maybe this is probably the only person who we can talk to on the council that would actually maybe give us honest answers, seeing as
Well,
what we would assume would be somewhat
Hopefully.
honest.
if you were willing to do a magic lie detector, I could tell you that.
I think I might be able to.
Ask him if he'll let you into his thoughts whilst we question him.
Just after he's been in a traumatic fire.
Yeah. We saved
Maybe
you.
we
Here's the
should-
price.
if we just ask
It's fine. Greg's a psychologist. He knows this is all perfectly acceptable and does this as part of his day job every day.
this is all within the realms of it's completely moral.
Exactly. It's not what you want. It's what we want. Strap him down.
All of a sudden, it becomes a Clockwork Orange.
Get the electric ones out.
So no,
Yeah,
I've got-
so I mean, yeah, you could do that, Matt. But again, a bit like Ed's one, the creature is aware of the fact that the spell has been cast.
Maybe don't do that. Then.
They won't
Maybe we just
necessarily
ask-
know.
Maybe just ask them some questions first.
They
It's
won't
like,
know what's been cast. They'll just know something's been cast, won't they?
No, in that case, I think they are aware of the spell specifically.
Oh, really?
That one they're definitely aware of.
It's a bit weird because, in theory, you wouldn't expect like a non-magic user to be able to know that, but by some amazing means, they're aware of the fact that someone's cast Zone of Truth.
Yeah. Okay, let's ask him some questions. Let's not just go down the route of let's waterboard him.
Yeah,
You
so
know what I mean?
What are you talking about, Ed? That's how you introduce yourself to people.
Hi, I'm Ed. Turn upside down. I've got a glass of water here.
Yeah, so you guys get when you get close to him, he sort of turns, basically sort of says, "Well, there's really not much I can do here till it cools down a bit more. Let me buy you a drink, please. It's the least I can do. And my mouth's killing me at the moment from the smoke."
I could do with a drink.
I think we could all do with a drink.
Just before we leave the actual place, can I see if there's anything of value still within his blacks, in the smithy that hasn't been destroyed?
Are you hanging back to do that so he doesn't see you do it?
Well, me and Robika are inside, aren't we? And you guys are
Oh, yeah.
outside.
I think you've probably finished what you were doing inside by now.
Okay.
But while you were in there, you didn't see anything of value other than like tools, effectively, and ingots and stuff like that.
Fair.
He's probably got a lockbox hidden somewhere, but it's not somewhere. It wasn't somewhere obvious.
Hey, Avendir, do you want to steal some shit?
That's not my way. I was more just checking to see if anything has been taken of monetary value from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Lockbox
Yeah, we
anyway.
all were.
Right, so you head into the nearby inn, which just happens to be the Ruby Shield.
Oh, Ruby Shield.
So you head in basically, and the blacksmith basically clearly knows the innkeeper, and the innkeeper sort of rushes over to see if he's okay, having heard that about the fire, etc. And the blacksmith says, "No, let me buy my new friends around. These are the people responsible for saving me." And the innkeeper's like, "No, keep your money. You're gonna need it. If they saved you, they helped out the whole of the town, but he basically brings around a series of drinks for you."
I mean, I literally ran into a burning building, so
It wasn't on fire that long.
Bear in mind, Matt, your clothes will be quite damaged from walking into the flames.
Nah, man, I fucking smashed that dexterity saving throw.
Only
Dancing
half
around
as
the
close
flames.
as
Only that 19 points of damage, yeah.
Straight down the middle.
It's not. He thinks
There's
you're
a slight suntan on one side
No,
of his face.
it's the whole front of him is fine, but the whole back of him is completely nude, and he just doesn't realise yet.
I'm just enjoying the breeze. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Politely,
yeah,
Avender doesn't drink.
Right, so he says,
I'll
would
pass
you
my
like some?
drink as well,
Would you
'cause I
like some
don't want-
milk, some water?
I'll have some water, please.
I've tried this coffee. Do you have coffee?
No, I'm afraid not.
He kind of looks disappointed and doesn't answer.
I mean, we shouldn't be rude, and then I'll pick up your drinks.
So you sit down at a table with Kendrick, and he kind of looks up and goes, "I don't think I've seen you around town before." Man, not I keep calling him Kendrick, but it's not, is it? Horick. So he just puts his hand across the table and introduces himself as Horick.
Hello, Alric.
Shake his hand.
Yo.
So
Yeah.
so what brings you to Careg, and were you just passing by when this unfortunate thing happened?
Yes, we were passing by, and we saw that there was a fire, and we thought we'd help.
I put out the fire.
Ignore the orc.
Told you, Pinko, don't do that.
What happened in there? As I'm assuming, you look like quite a capable blacksmith, your workshop wouldn't just spontaneously combust. So
No, I only used the finest materials. To be honest, I can't recall exactly what happened. There was some sort of explosion in the fire itself, in the furnace. I mean, occasionally you'll get a bit of wood or a bad batch of fuel that might explode, but nothing like that. Nothing that would take out the whole smithy. I really can't.
Maybe anyone who you've had a disagreement with lately, or
No.
anything?
I mean, Careg's a friendly town. Everyone relies on my services. I'm the only smith here.
What's happened this morning? Can you give us a rundown of?
I was.
Did anyone see? Did you see anyone? Did anyone come in to see you?
No. I was working on an order for a local farmer. I was literally just heating up the furnace to cast some new set of plows.
Did you have any visitors today?
Not that I can remember. No. I
Was
mean,
anything-
most people tend to come and see me in the afternoon when I've knocked off for the shift.
Did you have anyone
mornings.
visit you yesterday, or was anything out of place this morning?
Don't recall anything out of place. A couple of locals came by. One of the guardsmen came by yesterday asking for his sword to be sharpened. It's probably in the rubble now. One of the merchants came by to inquire about a set of gates.
What merchant?
It was Kendrick. A couple of sets of gates for his the courtyard to his warehouse.
Have you had much dealings with him before?
Oh yes, I repair his carts for him. Yeah, he's a nice enough fella. Pays well, on time.
Have you any reason to think anybody would want to hurt you?
No. Why? Why would you say that?
Well,
you shot.
I kind of I bring up the bomb that's exploded, not the other one. So this alchemical device clearly went off in your blacksmith. Now
And he's like,
this isn't something that's going to be there by accident.
Alchemical device. Sorry,
yeah, magic. There was a magic bomb.
And he sort of turns to the others. Goes, I know it's a bit early, but has he been drinking?
Looks a bit green.
Green around the gills.
Can I turn to him though and ask him about the last few weeks then? Ask him if anyone's approached him and offered to, let's say, change gold for certain services which he wouldn't normally offer. I'm not saying it's been propositioned, more for for certain a certain position you might take on the council or whatever.
He sort of looks at you and goes, "You're not being very clear."
Sorry.
Has anyone tried to bribe you?
Oh, no, not that. No.
Are you sure? I'm sorry to ask.
Well, generally, I would remember if someone had offered to bribe me.
Can we tell if he's? Can I just tell if he's telling the truth?
You can make a. I think you actually use deception for it to
Okay.
tell if someone is.
Insight versus deception.
Oh, sorry, yeah, insight versus deception. So,
so
insight.
Yep. I'm not very insightful, so.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, you are.
That's pretty good. He
Well,
does. He
not
does.
easy, yeah.
He does not appear to be lying.
Okay, so I don't. Okay.
Have you had any disagreements with anybody else on the town council?
Oh, well, we always have arguments on the town council, but it's about petty little things like, which day to hold the market festival on, or
Anything in particular recently?
no, the council's not met for 2 weeks now.
Right.
There's not much business in the town this size. We generally meet about once a month. If something comes up in between, then obviously the mayor can call them a separate meeting. But to be honest, the council is such minor. It's like, should we increase the taxes? Should we put aside more grain for the winter?
Maybe the blacksmith burning down would be a good reason to hold a town council meeting.
If we can prove that it's arson, then that certainly would be something that the council would want to look into. But we should surely go to the guard captain first.
Actually,
Maybe we could do an preliminary investigation before we take our findings to the guard captain, because it would seem that somebody wants to kill you, but we don't know who. And
Can we
it's
also
not
ask-
one of us.
In answer to your question, Greg, yes, probably. If you look up the spell, I think you can, for your own size, you can, yeah.
Okay.
Can we also ask him who else is on the council? Since that's what we'd set out to anyway, so we may as well ask him. Since
Well,
he's on...
you're at the table with him, Ollie. So
Yeah, okay. Who else is on the council?
the council, yes. Well, obviously we have Mayor befalling you. He's been re-elected about 20 years now. Every year he gets re-elected. Really nice man. Lady Melissa, she's been widowed recently. Her husband, Lord Taversham, was very well respected. They own quite a large property in the town.
Is she eligible?
Well, he's only passed away in the last 3 weeks. So
I mean more, how old is she?
In her 50s maybe.
Right, so not eligible then.
Well, I'm in my 50s myself, so I'm not quite
It depends what you're after, really.
What you imply there.
More meaning that she's not going to be having kids anytime soon.
Oh yes,
That's a good thing, surely.
the merchant Kendrick, he's on the council. The cleric Prudence, of course.
Yep.
And yourself.
And myself. Yes.
Okay. And how long have you all been on the council? Just out of curiosity, more than anything.
Well, the Lady Melissa took her seat after her husband passed away.
Okay,
so
more recently.
she's only been on for one council meeting. The merchant Kendrick has been on for maybe 2-3 seasons. The mayor, as I mentioned, he's been on a long time, 20 to 30 years. Cleric Prudence is reasonably new to the town. She's only been here for about 5 years now.
Okay.
And myself, I've been on it since I turned Master Smith, to be honest. So about 30 years.
Wow. That's impressive.
As I say, it's not a huge amount of effort, really. The town generally runs itself. The taxes go to the Duke in the city anyway. The guard captain's really good. He keeps law and order. Occasionally, we have to sit trial for some misdemeanor, but generally the guards can handle it. Someone gets put out in the stocks for a couple of days. We don't tend to get much serious crime. So certainly not arson.
Okay.
There seems to be a lot of people going missing in the town at the moment.
Well, more than usual.
Yeah, well,
Really?
Quite a few, yeah.
I hadn't heard.
You
Well,
hadn't
it's all
heard?
up on the notice board, kind
In
of.
a town this small, you hadn't heard that
It's,
people were
yeah,
going
well,
missing.
bear in mind, there's still a few hundred people in the town this size, and
Yeah, but I mean,
There's-
surely they'd know, if people are coming into the blacksmith or the smithy and being like, oh, well, blah, 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 so-and-so's kid would have gone
I
missing.
think it probably, I think
2 seconds, guys. Just do what you need to do. While we,
I think it probably depends what circle the people going missing are in. So if there's a particular type of person going missing, then it would that people in that circle would more necessarily know what's going on. So if you were to ask the guard, they would probably know. If you were to ask people who are the friends of that people, they might know. He's a busy smith, so maybe he just doesn't know.
I just assumed that, obviously, because I would have thought that, I mean, in cities and stuff, obviously people gossip and then word gets around. So I would have thought maybe even in a town of a couple of hundred people that.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, I think there's plenty of people in the town that probably don't know people who went missing as well. So yeah, I mean, Ollie's obviously still got his sort of, Olive can't sense that the guy's
lying.
not lying or anything like that. It's just generally that he doesn't know.
I kind of turn to the others and almost sort of talking as if he's not there. Do you think the Baron might be able to offer some sort of protection just for safekeeping? Maybe he could board with us for a few nights.
I mean, I'll pay for his board if we need to.
And so he's like, no need to go bothering the Baron, you say?
Yeah, but this ultimately, I think someone's tried to do this to you.
I'm not being drumming my fingers on the exploded bits of bomb in front of us.
Well, he sort of turns to you and goes, well, I was planning to stay with friends, because obviously I can't stay in the smithy until we've got that repaired. So yes, if you're willing to offer me hospitality for a few days until I get sorted, I would be stupid to turn that down.
I'll happily pay for it.
It's not necessarily that I'm concerned about where you sleep, Horik. It's more the fact that I feel we should have, we are travelling with plenty of guards and armed men, perhaps just a few around you at this time.
Maybe it should also be incognito, so that maybe the less people who know where he's sleeping as well, the better.
Do you really think it's arson? It seems so improbable.
Well, unless you keep alchemical bombs in your forge, then I would highly suspect that it's arson.
I have another one in my case if you want to see it.
We can always try it out in the fire.
He sort of says, not to doubt you. After all, you did save me, but can we maybe get the cleric's opinion on this? Obviously, I've known her a lot longer than you.
No.
Well,
The letter that we have that references that they need to get rid of one of the council members.
You do?
Maybe don't show them that.
Well,
I'll look across the table and sort of get everyone's general opinion on showing him this letter.
it's like holds him up behind
we basically told him that somebody's trying to kill him.
We've already
I don't
let the
think
cat
showing
out
him the letter's going to do much more than what
Yeah,
we've
the
already
thing is,
done.
remember this guy's been a blacksmith in town for like 50 years with very little incident.
I just think maybe
and his mindset is obviously it was an accident. There was a
the
fire.
less people know, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think you're right. If you do decide to offer him the hospitality, you probably need to persuade him to be discreet. So why don't we switch to a persuasion roll then and see if one of you can persuade him to be discreet? Yeah.
I don't think that man's ever talking again.
Yeah.
So the
conversation.
I'll take him to a corner and say that we think that an attempt in his life's been made, and would rather that he's protected, and that he doesn't try and make it known that things are going on, if you will.
Yeah. So you hear the conversation between Horik and Brunhilde's character sort of like turn to be. So you say you've got a little magical hut.
Yes, the most small magical hut you've ever seen.
And I think on that note, we'll finish it there for today, since it's 10:20, and it's a good point to finish it before we jump into the next part of the investigation.
Can I just ask how Brunhilde actually persuaded Horik?
Trying to get him into the little tent.
She has a hut that he really wants to go into.
Yeah, apparently it involved this tiny hut.
Yeah.
Oh, her tiny hut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You all
Yeah,
got my tiny
that's
hut.
not a euphemism for something else.
Cue the jokes about big things in small spaces. Go on.
Yeah.